Well, howdy everybody. Welcome to the show in Burnett County, Texas, where today we're at Lone Hollow Whitetails. The whitetail deer is America's favorite big game animal, and whitetail deer farming is the fastest growing segment in the American agriculture industry. Our program's mission is to dive into the world of deer farming and discover why tens of thousands of Americans compete to create the biggest bucks in the world. And by the biggest bucks, we don't just mean the size of the antlers. The financial investment opportunities produced even on small parcels of rural land will blow you away. Join me as we discover how whitetail genetics, deer auctions, animal husbandry, and so much more drive the deer farming industry. My name is Keith Warren, and this is Deer and Wildlife Stories. Today, Deer and Wildlife Stories comes to you from just outside of Lampasas, Texas, in Burnett County. We'll be at the Tributary Sporting Club, and we'll feature Lone Hollow Whitetails. When I tell you this place is huge, I mean this place is huge. It is 17,000 acres of up and down and rolling hills in some of the most beautiful habitat in the state of Texas. So the last time that I was on this particular piece of property, there were a bunch of people here. It was a big deal. It was called the TDA Lone Hollow Whitetail Summit.
I'm Grant Garner. I'm the pen manager here at Lone Hollow Whitetails. I focus mostly on the whitetail deer here in the pens, but the property has 20 to 25 species of exotics as well, including sable and kudu and gemsbok, bison, and many more.
I think it's important to point out to people that these animals all have value, and thank God that they do. Because if they didn't have value, people wouldn't be taking care of them. And think about that. If animals don't have value, people don't care about them. And so I'm grateful to people like the landowner here and the people that work here and other landowners that they love animals. They see value in animals, and they're going to provide the habitat for the animals to make sure that not just those animals are here for years to come, but the generations to come.
One of the priorities here at Tributary Sporting Club is the conservation of many endangered species from Africa and elsewhere in the world. For instance, our Addax herd, once very scarce in the world, we have a thriving herd here in the hill country.
The owner of this piece of property, just like any big piece of property, I like to say has a love affair with nature. And the reason why I say that is because just take a look at the place. They want to preserve this and make it better than the way it was when they got it. And it's not just with the native wildlife either. They've also got exotics out here that are thriving. Deer and Wildlife Stories is brought to you by MVP Whitetails, Dr. Ray Favero's Whitetail Genetics, UVC Power Sports Tractors and Outdoors, and Vanderdrift Toyota in Arlington, Texas. Now it's time for viewer feedback. Oh, this is a good one. It may not be politically correct for some people, but it's a good one. It comes off a Facebook Messenger from a deer breeder in Texas named Hank. He says he's wondering if I can explain why Texas Parks and Wildlife Department requires live CWD testing in order to release deer, but does not accept live CWD testing for a deer breeder to prove deer don't have CWD in their pens. Again, Texas Parks and Wildlife Department, they require, mandatory now, to be able to live test your deer before you can release them into the wild. But they do not accept live testing to prove your deer in the facility don't have CWD. Why? I don't know. Maybe somebody with the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department can enlighten us all. But Hank, that's a really good question. I've been wondering that for a long time too. If y'all have got a question, head on over to Facebook and on Messenger, shoot it to me, or you can shoot me an email. Deer and Wildlife Stories will be right back. There's something in conservation that we call conservation through commerce. And what that means is that the animals need to have value. If the animals don't have value, then nobody's going to take care of the animals. And the animals should have value. When people put a value on them, they're going to take care of them. You know, many people that live in the city, they don't put any value on wildlife at all. but it's the people that own big piece of property like this that place a high value on the wildlife, and they take care of them.
This place is really neat and has a lot of cool features on it. We have 6 miles of Colorado River that then dumps into Lake Buchanan. There's a silver mine on the ranch. There's caves and mountains and old historic home sites and homesteads. It's definitely a dream come true to raise my family on this place and get to enjoy all it has to offer.
So the name Tributary Sporting Club automatically implies tributaries, which is water, okay? And there's a lot of water here, which is very, very valuable for any, not just any piece of property, but for any wildlife. So you can't help but be impressed when you come out here, and when you take a look at the headquarters area, I mean, it looks like a little town. I mean, there's buildings all over, this gigantic lodge and swimming pool overlooking this beautiful area, and that's all cool. I like all that. But to me, the most interesting part of the entire piece of property is the old silver mine here. You take a look at that, and it's like the old, as I call them, cowboy movies, the westerns. I mean, your mind just starts imagining, wonder how long ago that mine was actually operational. Wonder where the guys lived that worked in that mine, because we are so far away from the closest town. You got to wonder how much silver was in that mine, how much is left in that mine. And so there's a lot of history, and as I look at it, I think, boy, it just makes me think that is the most favorite part of the ranch to me. I think what's neat that if you were to be blindfolded and then taken to the middle of this piece of property, and then you open up the blindfold, it'd be like, where are you? Are you in Namibia? Are you in South Africa, Zimbabwe? No, you're right here in the center of Texas in Burnett County on the Tributary Sporting Club. And when you take a look at the animals out here, I mean, these are species of animals that are native to Africa, and they're doing great here. And the reason why is because it's called conservation through commerce, and the landowner wants to make sure and do the best that he can for all the species of animals that are living here. So anybody in the deer business in Texas and just about anywhere in the country has heard of Lone Hollow Whitetails. And the reason why is because they're legendary. I mean, they've been around a long, long time. They've grown some really big deer, and the pedigrees are incredible. And there's people that literally, they have started their entire deer breeder program by dealing with people like the folks here at Lone Hollow Whitetails. Deer and Wildlife Stories is brought to you by Varra Ranch, LE Fence, Record Rack Deer and Elk Feeds, Massey Ferguson Tractors at UVC Power Sports, and by New Dart. Deer and Wildlife Stories will be right back. Closed captioning is brought to you by Advanced Deer Genetics. The pens here at Lone Hollow are big, and with the oak trees in there, the deer, they feel at home. I mean, the fall time, they've got plenty of acorns to eat. Of course, they're provided food and water 24/7 year round, but the pens are big. They have a lot of room to roam. So it was 3 years ago that I was out here in this very same pen, and I can tell you right now, just from the looks of them, if these are 2-year-olds, they're all so much bigger than they were. But who is that guy right there?
So that's a new buck we call Volt.
Okay. He is beautiful. Tell me about him. What's his pedigree?
So he's, his dad is named Jekyll.
Okay.
And he's out of a G3 doe.
Okay, so, I mean, pedigree-wise, he's a nice deer, but are you going to use him for breeding? I mean, is he one of the, quote, Lone Hollow breeders?
He's going to be one of our main guys, absolutely.
Okay, all right. I mean, he's beautiful. I mean, he's got the look that everybody wants.
Well, that look is hard to make.
Yeah.
We don't have a ton of deer that look like that. So we're definitely going to keep him and see if we can't make a bunch of those. Okay, and all these deer in the pen are too? Yes. Okay. All right, so as you look through this pen and you wind up seeing that deer, for example, you have his mom? We actually sold his mother. No. Yes, sir. A couple of years ago, she was, one of the herd, and she sold to a ranch, and she's in a pasture in East Texas. Okay, I'm going to point something out to y'all. Okay, as you look at Volt right there, okay, I guess you sold his mom when he was a baby. And he would have been. And you had no idea that he was going to turn into that. Yes, sir. Okay, so, and what created him was the right breeding, but his mom really created him. And so what they've got does out here at Lone Hollow that they wind up putting packages together that if you've got a pasture, you want to improve your genetics,
they sell them. And the thing about it is they've improved their genetics so much that the genetics, I mean, his mom went to somebody just as a pasture deer. Okay, so that blows my mind, because all your deer, I mean, all your deer have gotten so much bigger. And when you look at the bucks out here, we're going to show you a lot more bucks in the show, but you look at the bucks, they've got their sisters for sale, their moms for sale, and some of these sisters and moms are going to be, I mean, it's going to be a gem. I mean, somebody's going to get a heck of a steal, because you don't know what their fawns are going to turn into.
Yeah, so
it's pretty exciting. It's really pretty exciting to be able to know that somebody actually has Volt's mom out in the pasture and just bought it as a pasture deer.
And someone will buy one this year?
Oh, somebody, I'm sure a lot of them.
And in 2 years, we'll regret it.
they're going to call you up and say, hey. So anyway, if somebody wants more information about coming out here and buying does or buying bucks, give them a telephone number.
You can call me, 936-355-6171.
Okay, and they not just deer, they're selling semen as well. So, all right, so you got any other deer you want to take me to now?
Yes, sir. I've got plenty of deer to show you.
Okay, where are we going?
Let's go see Blitz.
All right, buddy, let's go. All right, so that's Blitz, huh?
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, but he's 4 this year. Okay, and last year I remember seeing pictures of him last year. He was so beautiful, typical. What happened?
Well, it looks like he boogered up his left side as he was growing out. His right side is phenomenal, but that left side was real late this year and never quite caught up.
Yeah, but he's still a good-looking deer.
Yeah, I mean, he's great.
And so we can show you what he looked like at 3. And you can see that, I mean, that clearly is from damage, okay? And so it's not a genetic issue for absolutely positive. But tell me about his pedigree. And don't you have a partner on him?
Yeah, so he's a G3 over Phenom's Dam.
Wow, okay.
And our partners are out of Chatham, Alabama.
Okay.
ZFG Whitetails.
So you've got a partner. Now, we're in Texas. You got an Alabama partner.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So,
George and Bucky, great people, and we've had a ball getting to know them.
Okay, so the cool thing about that is in partnerships, it doesn't just stay in one state. I mean, I like the fact that you got a partner in Alabama. That's fantastic, because what happens is they'll wind up collect semen on them and basically share the wealth. I mean, that's good. So, okay, all right, well, Blitz is beautiful, but let me ask you a question. You had a buck, what was his name, Angus? Okay, and he's 2 this year, right?
Yes, sir. We had Angus is a 2-year-old. Yep. And we actually ended up cutting him off last week, so he didn't make it to
the video. Okay, yeah. but you got pictures and video of him?
Yes, and I want to show you because he was phenomenal.
Okay, so tell me about his pedigree.
So he's brain freeze on Stampede's womb sister. So
wow.
G2 GXL King George 116.
Okay, so how wide was he? Because I know he had to be wide.
So he's 39 inches inside, and he was 420 inches gross.
As a 2-year-old?
As a 2-year-old.
What do you think?
So that's a heck of a combination of stats.
That's a big 2-year-old. So let me ask you this. Every one of your deer I know is in NADR, the North American Deer Registry, and you can see pedigrees, and they're all long, deep, and wide, okay? But tell everybody how excited you are about this CWD susceptibility test that is available from NADR. I mean, how is that going to be a game changer for us all?
Well, right now we need everything we can to go our way. We're looking for something to come in our favor, and this may be the opportunity to produce resistant animals.
See, what's happening is deer farms are a great way to do research on animals, and when you've got deer like this, okay, these are captive herds, and so we can do science. We can use science to actually study chronic wasting disease, and what's happened is that NADR really has found a way to be able to test the susceptibility of these deer. And so that is going to be a game changer for our industry and a game changer for anybody with white-tailed deer. All right, so when we get back from the break, we're going to introduce you to 2 bucks. One of them is undisputed, and one of them is named Pecos, and you're going to love them both. Deer and Wildlife Stories is brought to you by Maloof Whitetails, the North American Deer Registry, New Dart, and Whitetails of Louisiana. Now some great information on fencing from our friends at LE Fence.
Hey guys, this is Ron with LE Fence here. What we're doing right now is we're putting an overhead up in this gate area solely because we're trying to hinge the gate off of the side without the brace. Reason we're doing this is because we've got the trees right here and we don't want to take any of the space and take the trees out of here. We want to leave the tree coverage for the deer. So in order to do this, we got to raise the pipes up a little bit, give about 2 feet of clearance over our gate, and then weld a horizontal pipe between the 2 uprights. In doing so, we're going to be able to hang the gate off of the far post, and that's going to take all the pressure off of the single post and distribute it through the overhead and the brace. That way we can fold the gate open and shut, and we don't have to worry about a sagging post. So if you ever need a solution on how to hang a gate but you don't have all the room for the brace, if you can do an overhead in there, you'll be good to go. So thanks a lot, guys.
All right, so the buck we're looking at, that guy right there, who's that, Undisputed?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so as you look at him, earlier in the program we mentioned partnerships. And partnerships are becoming more and more commonplace in the deer industry. And y'all have got a partner on that deer. They're friends of mine. Tell everybody who it is.
Yes, excellent partners. Don and Sandy Gilchrist at
With G2.
Yeah.
Yep, with G2 Ranch. And so Don and Sandy have been the great friends of ours for a long, long time. And tell everybody, why would Don and Sandy want to partner on a deer? What are the benefits of that?
Well, they like that look as much as we do.
Mm-hmm.
And they wanted to bring that into their herd.
Mm-hmm.
And apart from just purchasing straws of semen, they wanted to invest into that product a little bit more.
Okay. So if somebody wanted to buy some of that semen out of him, they're going to benefit from that purchase as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now, so partnerships are something commonplace, as we said, but there's a deer here, and we're fixing to show him to you. That deer right there, who is that?
Yeah, Pecos.
Holy smokes. How old is he?
Pecos is 4 this year. We've been breeding him since he was a 2-year-old.
Okay, and tell me his pedigree.
He's gunslinger, secret weapon, gladiator 2, sudden impact.
Okay, boy, he's got those tines of his daddy, doesn't he?
He's definitely got a gunslinger look to him.
Yeah, he does. Okay, so you have a partner on him?
We do. The same partner that we had on Blitz.
Yep.
Is our George and Bucky out of Alabama is our partners on him as well.
Really?
Yeah. So
well, that's fantastic.
Yeah, they grabbed a couple of our best ones.
Okay, so are they breeding with him over there?
Oh, absolutely.
And if you've been breeding with him since he was 2, clearly you've got some yearlings on the ground now. What do they look like?
He's got many of our best yearlings.
Really?
Yeah, so he's not wasting no time.
How wide do you think he is?
He was 29 inches inside last year. He's a little bit more this year, so I'm going to give him 30 or 31.
Well, he's absolutely beautiful. He's perfect. I mean, he's perfect, and he's got the perfect pedigree too. So who is this blue tag guy right up here close? He is absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, this is Royal, and he was our favorite deer last year, and he came back this year at 3 years old, just the exact same look.
Boy, he's calm. Was he a bottle baby?
No, he's not. He just
likes peanuts.
Yeah, he's just he's a fan.
Look at that. I mean, what a frame. I mean, just that right there is a beautiful deer.
And that's what we're trying to do with him, is we're going to breed the heck out of him.
Yep.
And see how many deer we can make that look like that.
So when people buy does, they can buy does that are bred to Royal.
Yes. And that's
a pretty good deal.
Yeah.
All right, so today's market is as competitive as ever in the deer breeding world. Sure. And it is really hard to get a breeder buck. And so both these guys are unbelievable. Tell everybody about Undisputed, really what makes him a breeder buck.
When Undisputed was 2 years old, he was so much bigger and better looking. He stood out from the crowd, and we knew he was special. Mm-hmm. And year after year, he comes back and produces that excellent rack that we love with the great width, tons of inches, and this will be the 3rd year in a row that he's produced.
Okay, so he's consistent. What about his offspring? I mean, have they done well?
We'll have his first yearling group this summer, and yeah, he's carrying on the width. Is what we're most excited to see in his yearlings.
Yeah, he's just got that look.
Yeah.
Okay, well, what about Pecos then? Tell me about him.
Yeah, so Pecos is, he's probably my favorite rack I've ever grown.
Mm-hmm. And he's grown thousands. I'm telling you, he's grown, I guarantee over 1,000. Okay, so that means something, but he's absolutely beautiful.
He's the full package.
Yep.
He has the beams, he has the tine length, he has the width, he has the pedigree. He is the full, complete deer.
And see, when it comes to making a breeder deer anymore, it's not just about the look. It is about the paper.
Sure.
And when we wound up, we started out of all these deer, we've shown you some magnificent deer. I think personally, my favorite deer, I mean, I like Pecos, don't get me wrong, because I love Gunslinger. I mean, that is a beautiful deer. but I love Volt. And I think the takeaway from this for me is Volt, as far as paper goes, doesn't have as pretty a paper as Pecos does, but his look is beautiful. But the cool thing as a buyer, somebody who comes buying deer, buying does, you're gonna wind up with deer that have unbelievable potential. And because Volt, literally, I mean, you sold his mom as a stalker. Come on, man.
At this point, they all have the same potential to produce.
And that's the thing that is exciting to me. And so if you're interested in taking advantage of some of those great genetics, you need to give Grant a call. So I remember years ago when I did a first show with you, you were brand new, okay? And I look at it and I think, did you ever think that you'd be at a position where you are now with such a beautiful piece of property?
No, this has been a dream come true. I grew up here in town. We moved home to a bigger, beautiful ranch. It's amazing.
And it is beautiful. I mean, the wildlife is astounding. I mean, the conservation model that they've done here is incredible. And so if y'all want more information about Lone Hollow Whitetails and tributary sporting clubs, you can get a hold of Grant Gardner, and he would love to talk to you. If you're watching online, you got any questions or comments, go ahead and post them below. And if you're not watching online, head on over to our YouTube channel. It's called the Deer Farming Channel. And make sure and subscribe where you can watch all of our shows 24/7. My name is Keith Warren, and thanks for watching.